Right. Very good evening to all of you. So, thank you for the CA Student Society for organizing this kind of important session at an important point for students 45 days before the examination. And being the body of the students of CA Shanka, you all are doing a great job now. Actually, I also was part of the Student Society for a short time when I was. At my article training. So I know the student society, the effort that you all are taking, and also engaging in the sports activities and going beyond the sports and doing a lot of activities to engage and keep the momentum of all our CA students. So while thanking for the effort that you all are taking, and also thanking for the inviting for me to conduct this particular session. Right. So now the students, we have 45 days to go for the examination. I hope that so you will have a, I would say, kind of a patient mind today. So I'll take about 2 hours from now. So now time is 8:11. So I will finish at 10:15. So therefore, I want everyone concentration. We are going to discuss a few critical information or a critical analysis of the exam paper, where this will definitely help you all to get ready for the examination with a strong mind and strong courage. As you all are well aware, the lowest pass rate of the CA corporate level subjects are with the advanced audit assurance as well as CL3 advanced management accounting. But if you look at the history, the advanced audit and assurance pass rate has been consistently low. Yes, CL3 also pass rate was low, but the CL3 sometime it increased in one or two exam, but last exam anyway it is very less pass rate. So there are various reasons as to why the pass rate is low. Let us address today. And also, I know that the lot of now I'm also still at office. I know that in our second floor in the audit firm, the first floor, I know that how many the audit associates are working. So this deadline, managing with the deadline, lot of commitment, universities or maybe some other external activities, family commitment. So the managing studies is not easy during this difficult time. So let me to address that aspect as well today. So therefore, so I hope your concentration on a continuous manner during these 2 hours. If you have any questions, it may be question from technical aspect, also maybe question from any other aspect. I'm ready to answer. Let us take it up and discuss even during the discussion or towards the end of the discussion. So based on the appropriateness, I will take up the question discussion, right? Okay, so I hope that the mind is clear, right? So let us start the session now. Let me to share my presentation. This presentation has already been shared in the chat box. You can get this one. So when you're starting point, students, you can see this particular photo. So this photo has been shared in the social media and also your groups and so many places. So I can see that this photo was taken by one of the member who qualified in recent convocation on 24th of October. So when you started the study of ZA, so this is the end destination. You want to go one day, you want to go to the BMICH and get the ACA membership and also become the member of a prestige professional body and take your parents, take your loved one to the BMICH and have a wonderful day. So that is not going to be just a day. That is definitely a life-changing moment for you all. That because everything is going to be changed thereafter. Your economic situation, it may be your social situation, it may be your all other aspects are going to be changed on the particular day of when you go for the convocation. All these will be there, and the date may be 2025, 26, 27. So you have to make it happen, right? Students, now all serious students are going through a very difficult stages. I personally came through a very difficult journey. I don't have a time in telling that, but if I get a time in another session, now we can share. But it was a very difficult journey in the life where I have come. But the CA, the brand of CA, the CA qualification has changed everything for me. But I know that the lot of students who follow the CA, so their life has now been changed after the qualification. Everything is going to be changed. That is why the value of the CA remains as it is, whatever the challenges, whatever the difficulties coming into the profession, and that remains, that the value remains. So therefore, so you be happy that you have selected the right profession. Now you have to finish this game. You have come to the middle of the river. You cannot turn back. You have to go front, right? Go forward and finish somehow as a chartered accountant at the BMICH in convocation. Maybe 25, maybe 26, or maybe 27. So depending on your, I would say, about other commitments and all other uh, plans. But whatever happens, students, so you have to make number one CA. CA is the number one for your life. So that number one, making number one in your life for the next 1 to 2 years. So that will change your entire career, everything in the life, right? Everything. So that is going to be changed, right? So therefore, so that mindset should be there, that strong mentality should be there. Then only you are motivated to do the examination, right? Motivated to do the examination during the next 45 days. Being one of the complex paper, I label this as a complex auditing paper because of a reason, students. If you see the previous curriculums before 2020, there was a 3 auditing papers in the curriculum, and also there was an advanced audit and assurance at the strategic level. But 2020 curriculum, this was brought down to corporate level, but the level did not come down. It is expected for you to have the knowledge of the strategic level, and also it is expected you to have the knowledge of the audit partner or manager director level. All your examination questions, if you go to the past papers, it's all about the thinking pattern starting from the audit partner manager, where I do at the audit firm, the decision that I make at the audit firm, decision that my managers or the directors make at the audit firm are tested at the examination. So therefore, mind also need to be set. That is why I label this as a complex auditing paper. Even though it is a complex auditing paper, even though there is no one could reach to the 70 mark after 2021, last 3 years, students, nobody could reach to the 70 mark because the complexity. But having said that, the complexity, but if you know the art of the auditing, if you understand the practical application of the auditing, if you are smart enough in planning everything and learning what the examiner needs, and if you can produce a high quality answer for the level that is expected by the CA Sri Lanka examiner, there is no challenge in passing the examination. There are many students who have successfully completed this game, successfully come out from the auditing hurdle, provided you approach it properly. Everything is like that, students, anything in the life, right? We have to have a right kind of approach to the examination. If you don't have a right kind of an approach, if you touch here and there of the syllabus content, and also if you don't coming into the level that is expected by CA Sri Lanka examiner, especially the thinking pattern, what will happen is, so you will end up at the 30 to 40 marks during the in between 30 to 40 marks. There will be a lot of students here who are at the 30 to 40 marks who have failed the last few examinations. 30 to 40 mean something fundamentally wrong with you that has to be addressed, right? So that has to be addressed. So there is something wrong in your thinking pattern. There is something wrong in your study approach. There is something wrong in your way of thinking about the theoretical concept. So therefore, so let me to address that as much as possible within these 2 hours. I will not be able to do wonders, but I will try to give you some kind of a approach to plan the studies during the next 45 days. And also let us discuss the recent exam past paper, and we'll discuss the overall approach, what you need to be taken at the examination, and what are the common weaknesses, so that you all do, and accordingly I will give you a small study plan for you to have the during next 45 days, right? That will be the today's session outline or a session plan that I'm going to do. So students, now if you see, one second. Right. Right. So as you are aware, your examination will be on 29th of December. The CA Sri Lanka has announced the examination dates. 29th of December. So your examination is already scheduled. From today, if you take, actually 46 days are there. From tomorrow onwards, there is a 46 days. But I took class 45 days, 1 day. So I kept the side because 1 day will avoid. But the 45 days you have. So that means 1.5 months is there if you want to get through this examination. So some of the students, maybe they are here, you have studied properly, you have done all these works and you have studied the study text, past papers are done for you. So there will be an approach in continuing the rest of the 45 days. But I know that the majority situation is not like that. The majority in a different situation where so last 3.5 months, you would have not done satisfactory work. Satisfactory work so there would have not been a satisfactory work during the last 3.5 months. So you can't worry on by thinking of that. I would have done this way. So I did a lot of deadline audits. Oh, my monthly deadlines were there. So therefore I couldn't do. So what can I do and all that? You can't think and wait because anyway, this is the life of your students. This is the life you have to accept it. So now, then forgetting the past and we have to live in the current moment and have a plan for the next 45 days to somehow to pass the examination. As you all are aware, the syllabus change is going to be taken place at Sri Lanka in the next year. So the next last examination will be the June 2025. So another 2 more exams only there. We don't know what the curriculum change is going to be taken place. So in my personal prediction, I don't know the information yet. The CA has not published. But my prediction, most probably the CA Sri Lanka, this auditing subject will become into the 2 auditing papers. That is my prediction because based on the discussions and based on the previous experiences or the issues of this curriculum. So I believe that. So this will become a 2 subject. If you don't pass this particular subject, you will have to do the 2 subjects. That is my prediction. So therefore, so you don't have to think about the curriculum change, but knowing that fact that you have to finish the exam somehow during this December, that has to be targeted in a proper way. Clear? Right. So now, so therefore you have to have a strong mindset. Students, mind is everything. Huh? So when you study, when you do your office work, when you do your personal work, when you do your university HND or whatever other academic work, remember that mind is everything. If you can't set your mind if you can't focus your mind to the studies, definitely you cannot do. You cannot pass the exam. So whatever the level you are in, and whatever the problems you are going through as of now, everyone has a different kind of problems. But your mind must be focused for the studies because achieving the CA Sri Lanka qualification will give you a lot of solution for the problem that you are encountering as of now, right? So therefore, keep a strong mind that you would have failed the examination previously, or you may be doing the first attempt in this time, and you know that the CL1 auditing is not easy to get through, but keep the strong mind that so you will somehow overcome the Sri Lanka examiner and you will pass the examination in this December. When the results are released in the August 2025, so you need to have a successful pass mark for the CL1 paper. It may be 50 marks, doesn't matter, or it may be a 70-75 marks that you are the prize winner after 3 exams. After 6 exams from 2023. Right. So now the session content I told you. So what I'm going to discuss today. So basically I'm going to take it up the overall approach for the subject and tell you some few important information and also examiner's expectation. So this is where some students, they just study the study text and they just study the theory, but they don't understand what the examiner's expectation till you go to the exam. So that has to be taken into the system, and I'll give you a small program for that today. And also the next one is the managing studies. So having said the approach for the subject and also knowing the examiner's expectation for the paper, and also you have to have a proper skills of managing the studies. For that, there should be a program. For that, there should be a plan. For that, there should be mechanisms inbuilt in your mind in order to work that. So let us discuss today to see whether we can develop a small study plan for the December examination, right? And also the students to be aware that the recent changes, what happened, the auditing profession, what changes occurred recently and how those recent changes have been impacted to the your syllabus and how it will get impact to your December 2024 CL1 paper. So that is also going to be addressed, and also I'll give you an open time for you all to answer any questions at any time. So we'll be able to answer or clarify any subject matter. Right. Now, students, we'll start with the overall approach. Right. Now, the lot of students are in a misunderstanding. Lot of students, they don't really see what is this subject, right? So there are different level or different categories of students who are facing this particular subject. There can be some students who are doing this particular subject after A level. They have done the business level 1 and 2. Jump into the corporate level, you are doing, that is one category. Right? There's another category, those who are going to firm as of now, going to audit firm or the mercantile sector organization, you are trading. While that you are doing this examination, there's another category. There's another category, you have completed your training article requirements. And after that, training article requirements completed, you are currently doing a job somewhere. But still you are not finished the corporate levels or CA examination. So therefore, you want to finish that. So that is another category of people who are doing the examination. Right? So there is another category who are coming from the exemptions, CMA or the ACCA or the universities or any other HNU or wherever. So you are exemption to that. There are different channel of students are coming and facing this particular subject, right? But one of the fundamental that you need to remember is in CA curriculum, we get subjects which are subject to complete theory, which are subject to complete mathematical calculation, which are subject to some kind of application-based theoretical subject, right? So different subjects are you have to face at the CA examination. A lot of students are unable to figure out what is CL1 advanced audit and assurance, what is the expectation of the examiner, right? Students, please understand. I'll tell in this way. So now I am at the audit firm as of now, right? There are 600 plus audit firm in Sri Lanka. There are thousands of or maybe millions of audit firms in the world, right? Starting from the big four. In Sri Lanka, we have a big three, and also we have a second tier audit firms around 6 to 8. And beyond that, there are a lot of audit firms like small scale audit firm in locally as well as globally. There are different audit firms, right? So now, why this auditing kind of a subject is there in the CA curriculum is to learn the entire aspect of audit firm. Why that has to be learned? Because students, once you become a chartered accountant, you are the only have a right to carry out or have an audit firm right. So you only have the right to sign the finance statement in locally, globally. It depends on the country law. So you only can do. So if you only can do, while you are learning that, you have to learn that how that work is going to be done in future. Right? That is why CA Sri Lanka has sparked this particular subject in the corporate level. So that means students say the certain theories, like let's say maybe a strategic management, value chain theory. So those kind of theories are developed in the world with the academic background and with the academic view. But if you look at the CL1 kind of auditing subject, it is not that something that you basically look at a book and you learn it. It is purely what we do in this audit firm. For an example, say when you go to get your license, the license when you go to get your license, what happens is you have exam for you to pass. But that exam is what, students? Exam is that based on any theory? No. Exam is based on the practical application How are you going to drive a vehicle after you get the license? It's a backward application, backward subject, application backward model. Similarly, the auditing subject also is something application backward, right? Application backward subject where you are learning how an audit firm is carrying out the audit, how audit firm partners, managers making decisions, how audit firm partners, managers addressing a different situations, different scenarios, how make professional judgments, and what kind of reports are being presented. So you see, students, application backward subject. It's not that you learn the application and then go and learn the application. It's an application backward subject, right? When you are learning application backward subject, either you have to be audit firm partner or manager to write this exam paper, then you can do. But obviously, you know, audit firm partner manager, mean if you want to qualify only, you can go into that level. Most of the audit firm, even if you want to become a manager, it has to be a qualified chartered accountant. Right? So then once you come to that level, you can't face this paper, then easy. But now what I'm going to do is, so we are going to learn and face to the examination to explain to the examiner that how I'm going to work as audit firm manager or partner in another day. How I'm going to make a conclusion like audit firm manager like that. Right? So this is where the subject nature. So therefore, students, when you address this kind of a subject, you can't just look at the study text and read, and then you go for the examination. You can get maximum number of marks is 20 marks. Why? Because this is application-based subject where you need to have the application knowledge, right? So then how are we going to correct that application? Because you are, say there are students here not in audit firm. Even if you are going to an audit firm, 20% of application only will get to know. That is audit evidence. All other areas you don't know. Right? How are we going to learn that application? What is the methodology or mechanism available for us to learn that? Remember that, right? Remember that. So only way out is, let's say, if you are studying 5 hours per day, only 2 hours you can devote for the understanding the theory in the subject. Balance 3 hours you have to devote for the writing answers, writing past papers, more and more papers, and to figure out that whether you understand the theory what you learn. But a lot of students are there, they just finish the theory and go for the examination. Remember that the CL1 failure is guaranteed. So you have to practice more and more questions. That is the only way out that you can come out. So, but whatever said and done, our students are not doing this one. That is why the pass rate has become a very low students in the CA Sri Lanka examinations. So please, at the beginning, before going into the details, so I want to make a changes to your mind that this examination is application backward subject where, so if you study 5 hours per day or 3 hours per day, 1 hour for theory studies, but balance 2 hours, you have to write more and more questions. You have to write more and more past papers. You have to write more and more revision kit question. You have to write more and more ACCA question, F8 questions, right? And at the end of the day, when you go for the 29th of December for the examination, in your room, if there is a big bag of all the sheets of all the questions that you wrote by pen, if you are keeping in the room and if you can see a big bundle of papers that you have written the papers, you believe me that you will not fail the exam. You will not fail the exam. Definitely you will pass the examination, right? So therefore, this is the overall approach that you want to take it up. I told you why that has to be taken as well, because this is an application-based subject. When it comes to this particular subject, students, right? Overall expectation of the subject, what is expected by the CA Sri Lanka examiner? So basically, as I told, that is a role of the audit firm. The role of the audit firm, we have a different designation of the audit firm. Partners, directors, managers, executives, supervisors, different designations will be there, but different firm it differs. But the examiner's expectation of the CL want to test the knowledge of these 3 categories, right? So in order to test that knowledge, so the examiner divide this particular syllabus into the 2. One is external auditing flow, co-auditing, and the other auditing. A lot of students even don't understand this particular expectation. Your study text is not organized in a way that, right? In my criticism for that one, study text is not organized in a way that in this particular order where you can learn the auditing in a systematic flow. Students, remember, whatever you learn, you have to have a systematic application. If you don't have a systematic learning methodology, so you cannot grab the knowledge of the advanced auditing and apply it to the practical scenario. So therefore, expectation is with the partners, directors, managers, and at that expectation divided with the co-auditing flow. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So that 5-step model of auditing flow. And supportive activities like ethics, quality management, internal control. So that is a supportive activities, and the syllabus weightages have been given accordingly, right? So therefore, at the beginning, so I want every one of you to understand the expectation of this particular subject. You have to apply the knowledge as audit firm, partner, director, manager. But obviously, you know that you don't have that caliber training. So what you can do is, only way of getting that knowledge is writing more and more questions. That is the way out, right? So that is the overall expectation of the subject. Give me a minute. Right, sorry, right? Right, so I'm not going to go through the syllabus. You are well aware of the syllabus, but syllabus is important to have a study plan, but at that time I will come back. Right, so now students, let me to go to the recent paper. So I have a lot of things to tell you, that paper analysis, like you can see this kind of analysis also I have done for all recent papers from section wise. But before coming into that, so let me to go to the recent paper, right? So this is June 2024, the past paper, one of the lowest pass rate recorded. But if you just read this paper, you won't feel it difficult. But for an example, soon after this paper was over, a lot of students told me paper was moderate. But when I see the paper, I knew that is not going to be moderate. Due to few reasons, the student will not deliver the answers to the examiner's expectation, right? So now if you see this particular examination paper, students, so basically, right, basically you have a 3 kind of sections. Now by now you are well aware, you have a 3 sections. But I want to tell you one thing, say, now there are a lot of students comes and say, MCQ 10න් 7ක් හරි MCQ 10න් 6ක් හරි MCQ 10න් 8ක් හරි හැබැයි මුළු එක්සෑම් එකටම මට තිබ්බේ ලකුණු 25යි. Some students say MCQ are 7 correct, so that means 14 marks, but entire paper is total mark is 25, so that means only 11 mark for the balance 80. How it can happen, right? How it can happen? While your MCQs are correct 7, but entire out of 80 you get 11 marks. Remember that if somebody is happy about the MCQ, it is not your knowledge. MCQ is you are given 4 answers. Out of that you are supposed to select what is the correct answer. Anybody can do that, right? I would say all the students should get, average students should get 10 out of 10. But the talent students, so therefore don't test your knowledge through the MCQ. Lot of students still do. So MCQ ටික හරි ඇයි මට අනිත් ඒවා ලියන්න බැරි? මට knowledge එක නැත්තම් මම කොහොමද MCQ වලට ලකුණු ගත්තේ? It's a different story, right? MCQ and the short scenarios and long scenarios, a different story. So therefore, my recommendation or my guideline to you all, don't think about the MCQ questions, right? It can anyway be attended by you. Mostly the MCQ question will be tested from the internal audit to digital auditing. So if you look at all these MCQ questions, if you look at the students, all these MCQ questions in this paper from 2 chapters, right? It was 4 questions from the digital environment, 3 questions from the internal audit, right? And 1 from the study about concept. So likewise, it's selective, it is MCQ from 1 or 2 selective chapters only will come. With the examiner wants to balance the syllabus weightage. That we will discuss later. But if you really want to test your knowledge, it has to be the long scenario questions. Long scenario questions, if you, out of 40, 2 questions, you have 2 questions, 20 each. So if you don't get 18 or more than 18, if you don't get 18 or more than 18, remember that you don't have the knowledge. You don't have the application knowledge. You have to practice more and more questions to enhance your practical knowledge of the application knowledge of the auditing principle. For an example, say there's a scenario given. Say if someone asks, when there is a material misstatement in the financial statement, what would be the audit report? If the material misstatement, if it is material, qualified material and pervasive, it is a adverse opinion, anybody can write it. But examiner does not ask that kind of a silly questions because this is advanced audit and assurance. Examiner will expect what I do at the audit firm. So I'm sure that this paper setter, I don't know who is, but maybe the paper setter also definitely be a practicing chartered accountant like me. So definitely it has to be. So where now today say I'm at office. So let's say, so I'm coming to know that a lot of issues the day by day. So let's say there is an issue came up to me. So if I'm the paper setter at home, maybe I'm the paper setter when I go home today, sometime I may take that case as an examination question, right? So now the paper setter has taken the practical scenario that he has encountered and linking into the theory. But what our students think is, no, theory, based on the theory, the exam question is prepared. No, it's a backward always. It's a backward approach. So you need to understand that. So if you want to answer for the questions in a backward approach, you have to have that application knowledge. Application knowledge can only be taken through the practicing questions. So if you, so I'm going to give you a plan today. So that 1 week, 1 paper for 1 week. So you have a 6 weeks to go, more than 6 weeks. So you are expected to complete 1 examination paper per week. Keep in 3 hours time at home, or you can go to the CA library, or you can go to your university or wherever you are. You can at home even close your room and keep in 3 hours, do 1 paper. So then you may be thinking that I have not studied up to now properly. I have not done that. So how can I face a paper? Doesn't matter, because 100% cannot be done. Nothing 100% can be done in the studies. What are the studies that you have done up to now? Based from that, face a paper. Right? Once you face a paper, you will realize that how difficult to answer the examination question. Then what it happens is, then your mind can be focused for the examinable areas, and you can think about the examiner's expectation and realize by yourself. Say I'm coming and telling, or another lecturer coming and telling, you will listen to and go that finally it doesn't work. So it has to be realized by yourself. Unless otherwise it is realized by yourself, you will not be corrected. So only way that you can realize yourself is what? Practicing the 1 paper, 1 full paper, 1 full paper per week. 6 papers you are going to do, right? I'll give you a short study plan that at the end. So that will be included. Right. I'm not going to touch the MCQ questions because I know that the MCQ is MCQs can be done. And I'm not, if somebody comes and tell me I have 6 MCQ correct, 7 MCQ correct, 9 correct, 10 correct, I don't care. You also don't care, because MCQ correction is not a decision factor for you to pass the exam, right? So let me take it up questions. I'll take the question number. I would say question number 6. Question number 6. I will take it up. So long scenario, right? So long scenario. So I'm not going to take a time. I'll go back to my presentation, but listen to this one carefully. So this question number 7 is a large scenario, right? Those 20 mark large scenarios, big scenario, what I do, what we practice, what we see in the practical world is given here. So now when this particular scenario is given, sometimes you are scared to read this full scenario because it takes some time, right? That was a problem for some students. When you look at the paper, it's very lengthy and you are getting scared there itself. But that should not be the case, right? If you do my techniques, what I tell about the 60% time devotion for the practicing question, that scaredness will not come. Right. I'll read this only the first part of the question. Whenever you are reading the examination question, strategies that need to be adapted is always action verb must be highlighted. When you go for the examination, you need to go with the highlighter. If you are attending a physical exam, assess 10 marks. Always highlight the action verb, number of marks, because action verb and the number of marks has a superb connection. Superb connection. If you don't have the connection, if it doesn't realize in your mind that connection, it's going to be a disadvantage for you. Remember that the papers are being marked by CA examiners question by question. Say, if I'm the paper exam marker, I will not check your all the question answers. I will be given only one or two questions to be marked. So then I will see only that particular one or two question. When I check the 10 papers, I'm expert of that question, right? So therefore, you can't here and there write something and some students come and say, "Sir, pot dekal lewa, pot turak lewa, pot thatarak lewa, pot tekak lewa." Not going to be work, right? How smartly that you are writing, using the writing techniques, that is what more important than the quantity or the quantity of the answers. Whether you are writing 2 or 3 booklet, that is not going to be a decision factor whether you are passing or not, right? Action verb by the number of marks has a highly interconnection. Assess the risk of material misstatement, including the fraud risk, at the entity level and the finance statement level that will be relevant for the audit of SSL for the year ended 31st March 2024. Students, this is a very traditional examination question. So if you look at the all auditors at the beginning of the audit planning stage, what we do is planning the audit. So that means since we cannot check everything in the finance statement, we identify the problematic areas. We identify the problematic areas in the finance statement. That identification of the problematic area is called as risk assessment. At a risk assessment, what we do? We identify the risk of material misstatement. We identify the risk of material misstatement. When you deliver an answer at the CA examination, the technical wording need to come. Technical writing need to come. Risk of material misstatements. How beautiful the language. So you have to use those wording when you are writing, right? So now in this question, students, traditional question. When you read this question, you will get lot of risks are there. Lot of risks are there. So now what happens is, sometime in a hurry that you never practice this kind of a similar question, but you have learned a theoretical principle called risk of material misstatement. So based on the theoretical understanding, you just come and identify a few risks. There are so many risks. It can be business risk, it can be audit risk, it can be inherent risk, control risk, detection risk. There are a lot of risk categories you learn. But without focusing on what the examiner is asking, you just write the risk that you faced here, that you notice here, right? Some students will say, for an example, in this particular scenario, it says that, right? There is a there were some of the employees have resigned here. Managerial, some of the employees have resigned. In this one, there is a part of that. But some employees have resigned, but a lot of students have written that is a going concern problem. See, you have heard somewhere the going concern. Just because of you have heard the going concern or you have applied the previous question, that doesn't mean that always just because of employees are resigning, it creates a going concern issue. Now, say the organizations are like that, right? People are coming and going. Say audit firms, so many people are coming and going, but that doesn't mean the audit firms are going to be closed down, right? When the people are going, new team will be taken in. So therefore, so I'm telling an example, one of the weakness some of the students have written here. So sometime you never think about the examiner's expectation. You never go into the in-depth analysis of the case study. Finally, you identify few points of the question. You just write the silly answers to the examiner. Remember that examiner will not give you the mark for those kind of answers. Let's say examine in this particular scenario, I can write more than 10 risk, but that 10 risk examiner will not give the mark. The examiner will give you the plus 6, plus important 6 risk only examiner will give you the mark. So therefore, so I'm telling students, so now this is an example of this kind of a question, how risk assessment to be answered. Now, because anybody knows risk assessment, right? So if everyone knows the risk assessment, but you are not getting the marks at the exam. You know the risk assessment, but you are not getting the marks at the examination. Why is that? There are two things. Number one, right? Number one, all right. So say this is what, let's say this box. So this box is the one, right? You think that the risk assessment, right? Understand what I'm telling? Huh? You think that this is the risk assessment. This is your knowledge. Yes, that is also risk assessment. But this is being advanced or written assurance paper. CA Sri Lanka's expectation is like this, right? CA Sri Lanka's expectation is like this. Now what happened? You think that this is what the risk assessment and you write it. CA Sri Lanka expect like this. So then what happens? Always that you will not get the 10 marks. Out of that, you will get 3 to 4 marks. Students, now today you have to take it into the mind that sometimes you are comfortable or you think that I know the auditing, but what you know is not the one that is expected by the CA Sri Lanka examiner. Always understand there is a untold or there is a part that you don't understand. There is an untold hidden part of the each and every auditing principle. So you have to go into that, in depth of the analysis. There can be a lot of students here. There can be a lot of students here who have failed this particular subject. But you are failing every time at a 35, 40. But you never analyze that why you are failing. Main reason is this. So you are not going into the depth that is expected by the CA Sri Lanka examiner. Right? That you have to go into that depth. How can we go into that depth? So always students, whenever you learn some theoretical principle, whenever you write the examination past papers, I recommend you to close your eyes for 1 minute, 30 seconds, close your eyes and always think about that there can be something I didn't understand. There can be something that examiner expects something else. There can be something that I have gone wrong, right? So close your eyes and force your mind to think, student. This is the biggest mistake of the lot of students make it. So you have to have always, you have to have that extra out of the box thinking. So as far as this risk assessment question also, if you go to the CA Sri Lanka students, Sri Lanka examiners comment, at each and every examination, they are giving the examination comments. So you go and read this particular paper, what examiner tells. Examiner tells students have written the all irrelevant answers. Sometimes they have written the business risk, whereas the examiner is asking the risk of material statement. Sometimes students have just identified the points without writing proper explanation as to why this becomes a risk item, right? So the number one issue, student, it is the expectation and delivery. There is a thinking pattern different. The second thing, students, the high quality answer. It doesn't mean that you need to have the very high end, very high level English to write the answers, but you need to have when you understand that the 2 marks will be given for each point. So you always need to write the 2 bullet points. The first point you have to say that what is the scenario in the case study, and the second point you have to justify that why you believe that is considered as a risk of material misstatement. Why it is considered as a risk of material misstatement. So that, right, that has to be written. But students, remember, all these 2 mistakes can only be corrected. But let's say one student before going to the examination, if you write the 10 examination question from the risk assessment, do you think that this kind of questions is going to be challenging? No. Unfortunately, all our students are lazy. Majority, Ammali, right? Majority of the students are lazy because what they do, they just look at the theory and go for the examination. What happens is, so even students now recently, I launched a small program where to meet physically the student who are really facing for several attempts. So genuinely, I put that my effort to the last 1 month, especially students who are failing more than 3 times. So I called to my office in the evening days and I spoke to them taking 1 to 1.5 hours per students, right? When I talk to them, what I realize is some students have written 3 to 4 times, but they have written the examination pass paper only at the examination. You pass with it. Can that be part? To being a final auditing paper, after that you are going to be a chartered accountant. After that you have to come to this our seats like this. You have to apply as a partner manager level. So if that is not there, students, how CA can pass you? Please understand the situation. I won't blame to the CA Sri Lanka because CA Sri Lanka is trying to maintain the professional level of a chartered accountant. That is correct. But provided that you have to coming into that level, so only way that coming out is breaking your limitation, breaking your laziness, and practicing more and more things before examination that is needed. So if everything under the sun is important for you, let's say, so office work important, family work important, then also say other friends activities are important, everything is important, but that priority list CA Sri Lanka studies are under the number 8 and 10. So do you think that you can pass the examination? In my understanding, no, it may not be. So therefore, I'm coming back to the point here. What I want to highlight is if you have practice, if you have practice at 10 examination questions from here, risk assessment is going to be nothing. So that is where I told you the 60% of the time must be devoted in realizing, right? In realizing the truth of the examination question by practicing the question. Right? So let me to go to another question. Let me to go to another question. Question number 7. Right? So in here, students, question number 7. I'll go only the first part of the scenarios. So what examiner is asking here, what examiner is asking here is that outline the action the auditor should take on the matters observation identified upon the completion of audit of year. So outline the actions the auditor should take on the matters observation identified upon the completion of the audit of year. Pure practical, right? So can you write this examination question by looking at the study text? No. Can you look at the auditing standard book and write this examination question? No. Purely practical. Nowhere we learn in the study text this kind of a thing. So now you may be wondering that, okay, study text also, if that is not there, how can I come into that level? Purely a practical, purely this is what it says is in practical audit firm, when you carry out the audit, so you identify at the conclusion stage certain unresolved matters. Unresolved matters have been given to you here, and based on the principles that you learn in the auditing, you are supposed to decide what steps to be done next. If you want to answer this kind of an examination question, student, I'm sure that if you are someone who has failed the last time, definitely your number of marks for this particular question will be 0. If you want to answer into this kind of an examination question, you need to have a few things you have already done. So number one, so you should have a very clear picture about the core auditing process, right? Starting from 200 standard to 820, you have a 37 auditing standard. You want to have a very clear picture on the, you have to have a very clear picture on the auditing process. Okay, you sign the engagement letter and then you coming into the risk assessment, understand the business, then the risk assessment, and also plan the audit and also gather the evidences and then evaluate it and do the reporting. All this process must be properly known theoretically. The second thing, students, so you should have developed by studying the auditing of the auditing subject, right? the thinking pattern as a chartered accountant or audit firm manager partner. So that thinking pattern can only be developed because anyway you can't be a partner manager, right? So thinking pattern only can be developed by through what students? So only by practicing more and more questions, right? If a student had already practiced this kind of three questions, let's say, do you think when you go for the examination hall, will this question be difficult? No, why? You are already experienced in writing or a judging or a making conclusion for this kind of an issue, right? If you don't have this both, one is application knowledge of the auditing flow and also practicing similar kind of a past papers. If you don't have the both students, definitely you can't write the answers into these particular questions, right? So that is what you want. But at the summary that I want to tell you at the overall paper is concerned, so you need to practice questions. There is no way. And there can be some students, they think that I have to learn and then go and practice the past papers. No, auditing, I believe in a different approach. You practice past papers and do go and learn the theory. That will be much faster. That will be much easier. You practice the questions. You go and write. Keep the confidence that you can think. Because a lot of examination question, you can think and write. So try to think and develop a professional judgment for the given scenario. The free mind confidence will tell you that what decision to be made. Sometimes you might not learn the theory, but you feel the conclusion that is to be made because you are thinking as an auditor. You are working as an auditor. You know, students, the majority of the students who are failing the auditing paper are at audit firm. Don't know they. Now, recently, our firm, I wanted to do a small session for physical session for those who are those who have failed the auditing paper. So I got the database through the sport club. But certain names, I know some of the names, but I can't believe that they are failing the auditing subject, but they are doing well in auditing. Big audits, big audits. What is the problem? What is the problem? Even though you do the practical auditing in the audit firm, your examination is expecting the level of the partner manager, right? You will be working as associate in the audit firm, associate 1, 2, or whatever the level, or a senior audit associate or a supervisor. So you will apply mainly 20% of the expectation of the audit partner, that is gathering audit evidences, carry out the audit procedures for cash, bank, inventory count. That is only 20%. So if you do the audit firm, the 20% of the audit periods, but you expect to pass the CL on paper, that is a dream. Why? Balance 80% must be known. So in order for you to get to know that 80% students anyway, only way out is by practicing questions. So this, I want to show you that fact that, so unless otherwise you practice the examination question, you can't pass this exam. Pass with them. So therefore, change your strategy into the systematic learning, backward learning. Backward learning is by practicing past papers and going backward to the theory. So if you adopt that, right, if you adopt that, there won't be any doubt that you will pass this December examination. So that is done before the next curriculum change. You are finished with auditing paper. So you are through, and 2025, 26, you can go for the ACA convocation to the BMICH with your mother, father, or your loved one, and have a wonderful day. You will become a corporate level student for the 2025 as well. Your juniors will come up and they will bypass you and overtake, and you go in the audit firm or wherever you are working, and they will become qualified because they adopt the right mechanism, right method. But if you are not ready to change, lot of students whom I met, they are not ready to change. They are not ready to accept the fact that approach that you adopt is wrong. There's no ready to, the mind is not ready to change the method that you have been doing for so many years. Now, some of the students I met, now say some of the students, for example, like FRG, or the management accounting, different approach. So you learn all the theory and then go for the past papers. Otherwise, you can't do the questions. That's correct. That just because of you do at that two subject, that doesn't mean that the same approach will work for the CL1. CL1 is application based subject. You have to be different. You have to be different. You have to change according to the requirement. Right? So therefore, I want to show you this paper to highlight that the approach must be changes. Basically, number one, in order to go into the depth of the subject and also then produce the high quality answer. Now I know some of the students, they write just a point. Foreign currency translation, that is the risk. Examiner will not give you the marks, 0 marks. Why? Examiner knows that you don't have the right knowledge. Even though right knowledge, you have not produced the answer. Sometimes answer is in your mind, but you are not producing the answer script. Based on the number of marks allocated for the examination question, the paper mark has been given a marking scheme. So you have to write the answers into the match to the marking scheme. Remember, paper marking process, what I know, because we can't go out being lecturers, we are not involved in the paper marking process. It's not allowed. But I know that what is happening there, right? So if you don't write the answer, there is no sympathy marks in the auditing paper, right? So sometime in advanced level, O level, when we write the exam paper, sometime A-level class teacher and sir, exam pass I don't know, I'm just predicting, right? But CA paper marking, that will not happen, right? If you have the 49 mark, only 49, 1 mark won't come, right? So therefore, you are not right allowed to take even a single chance of a compromise in the writing quality. The writing quality must be there. So what I expect students, so if you can, right, if you can go to after now 1 week per one subject, say 1 week per one paper, 6 weeks you have. So you have to keep Sunday or Saturday. You keep a 3 hours, Don't get up during the 3 hours. If you have nothing to write, just stay, sit and stay. Give the punishment to the mind that you are not ready for the exam. Then you will be hard training for your mind. Sit and stay 3 hours in the same place, and you see whether you can write something, right? And thereafter, you look at the suggested solution given by Sri Lanka. But whenever you are looking at the suggested solution, you need to understand the answers are in the summarized format. So you are expected to more elaborate the answers, right? Suggest a solution. So that you have to do, right? So thereafter, you go to the Sri Lanka websites. There's something called examination comments. Read the examination comments. Most of the examination questions comments will be applicable to you. Why? You are in that bucket. The common mistakes that the students have done will be listed in the examiner's comments. You read it, that you will realize that you also did the same mistake. Then you have a plan, you have a point, you have a way forward, you have something to be corrected, students. So therefore, that has to be done by you. So this is what I want to tell you as far as the examination paper is concerned. I'm not going to go through the full paper, but I want to tell you that as far as the overall approach to the examination paper is concerned, right? And when you are selecting the examination questions also, you need to always practice it and don't take it both the question at the last. It will take long time. So my recommendation is one question of the 6 and 7 need to be taken during the first 1 hour, and the one question you can take it at the last final 1 hour. And MCQ you can take it at any time, what you know, what you want. But also the time management is so important. When I ask some students, it says, I was able to only to write 60. Do you think that the Sri Lanka will give you 50 out of 60? Will that happen? No, it will not happen. So you have to write the 90 plus for the paper. Managing time is so crucial. A lot of students, right? They do the this particular mistake. So therefore, you won't have a proper time planning. Let's say the first question that I'm getting MCQ, you need to MCQ mean always 1 mark you can put 1 into 1.5, right? 1 into 1.5 time you can keep always for a allocation purpose. So what happens here now, right? Question number 1. So you have 20 marks, right? 20 into 1.5. So that means 30 minutes you can devote. So let's say you put the time here 9:30. So I'm going to answer this particular question before 9:30. So you have a time pressure. You have a time pressure in and somehow answering into the 90 plus marks in the examination. If you don't do that one, it's going to be a, at least if you don't write 90 plus, that is going to be a show. Right. So I just went into the paper because I just wanted to tell you that about how the approach should be taken. So students, now I have taken up 2 examiners examiners comments. So I want to read with you these examiners comment. These are the 2 recent examination. What is the conclusion only? Conclusion only. But full document, if you go to the Sri Lanka website under the students examination, right hand side, this is their all recent examiners comments. But I won't take the 100% examiners comments, but the 80%, there are something that you have to take it to. So when you are practicing the question. So just let me to read with me. Let me to read with you general comment. This is June 2024 paper. To succeed the examination, candidates must have a strong grasp of the syllabus, including assumed knowledge from the audit and assurance, and be familiar with accounting standards and auditing standards. There's a point to be taken, student here. Always remember, right? Auditing is what? It is an extended version. Actually, it is extended version of the financial reporting or accounting. Why I say fundamental principle of the auditing, if you go and look at, fundamental principle is what? The management of the company, they prepare the financial statement. They are given to the shareholders, but the shareholders do not trust the management. Therefore, shareholders comes and tell to the auditor, look here, auditor, my management has prepared the finance statement, but I do not believe them. I do not trust them. So therefore, can you come and check this finance statement and give me a report? Beautiful auditing. So management prepare the financial statement and given to the shareholders, but the shareholders do not trust the management. So therefore, shareholders comes and tell to the auditor, look, auditor, my management has prepared the financial statement, but I do not believe them. Can you check this finance statement and give me a report? Right? Give me a report. This particular auditor being a chartered accountant, he comes and check what? He comes and check the financial statement. The finance statements have been prepared based on what, student? Based on the financial reporting standards, right? So that it may be IFRS, it may be a LKS SLFRS, right? So that means what, student? Auditor job role is to come and check the financial statement, whether such finance statements have been prepared in accordance with the relevant accounting standard. So if you are an auditor, if you don't know the audit, if you don't know the accounting standard, you can't be the auditor. Similarly, if you don't know the advanced application or the judgmental application of accounting, you cannot sit to the, I would say, the auditing paper. Because say I'll take you for an example. Let's say related party transaction, right? So related party transaction, how to carry out the audit of related party transaction? We have auditing standard of SLA US 550, right? We have separate auditing standard. But for you to audit whether related party transactions have been properly captured, whether transactions have been properly disclosed, you need to be aware, students, but you need to be aware that the particular company, whether they have disclosed their related party transaction as per LKS 24. If you don't know the summary of the LKS 24, you don't have to know the everything of LKS 24. But if you have to know the summary of LKS 24. If you don't know the summary of LKS 20, how can you go and check? How can you go and check? Let's say you're auditing the biological asset. Take a company. So if you don't know that particular, let's say, teak plantation is to be accounted as per LKS 40, how that is going to be 41, right? Let's say that how that is going to be accounted of the agriculture standard. If you don't know, how are you going to check it? So it's not possible, right? Similarly, if you don't know that, how can you go and answer the examination? It's not possible at all. So therefore, not all accounting standards, but there are some selective auditing accounting standard. The summarized version you should know. So I hope that you are aware. Otherwise, I will give you that summary of the accounting standard, right? So if you want, I can give you. These are the summary of accounting standards that you need to have for auditing paper. Not everything is required to be known. Not everything is required to be known, but there are critical judgmental areas in the accounting standards, right? Those judgmental areas should be known by the auditor, right? So what are those standards? If I start from the LKS standards, basically LKS2, the inventory you need to have some kind of an overall idea. For an example, cost to NRO, whichever is lower should be accounted. So that of course you are aware of that one. Those are basic application. And also the next one is LKS8, right? LKS8 is also so crucial. Why? It's talking about the policy changes, accounting estimates, and the errors. So retrospective adjustment, the prospective adjustment, or whatever to be done. So need to have a kind of a knowledge over there. Otherwise, you can't decide it as an auditor. Then the 12, that is talking about the income tax, especially the current situation, how deferred tax to be applied, how income tax should be applied. Some rough idea need to be there, right? That is LKS 12. And LKS 16, of course, everybody is aware the property, plant, and equipment, regulation, model is following and all that. And also the next one is LKS 19, right? Employment benefit, how actual evaluation is done, a summary, right? It's not required to be everything, but summary. And then 24, related party transaction that need to be aware because how the disclosures are going to be done. Even 21, the foreign currency transaction also maybe that will be important. And also the LKS 28 and also the LKS 36, impairment of non-financial assets, how impairment is to be made, recoverable value and the carrying value difference should be impaired. And 37 is a very critical standard for the auditor. So that is about the contingent assets, contingent liabilities, and the provision, and when to make the provision, when to make the contingent liability, when to disclose, and all that summary must be known. And also, intangible asset is not that crucial, but right. And 40, investment property, and 40 on agriculture, summary should be known, right? When it comes to SLFRS 2 share-based payment, right? You need to have the summary of the knowledge, and also SLFRS 7, the disclosures. SLFRS 9, crucial standard in summarized version. And I would say SLFRS 10, the consolidation also need to have a kind of a understanding, and 11 also this is connected with the 28 actually, consolidated finance statement, and 15 and 16. 15 revenue and 16 leases, that need to be a summarized version. Summary knowledge should be non-students, right? So this I told you because the examiner also has told that the accounting standard knowledge of the students is very low when it comes to auditing paper. These are the common mistakes. Sometimes the student will have failure. Sometimes you would have not even look at it, right? Look at it, the accounting standard aspect before the examination. Actually, I prepared about 2-3 pages document for, like, let's say for an auditor point of view. So that doesn't mean that you need to have a would say comprehensive accounting knowledge. Auditor perspective, now day-to-day life, what we do in the auditing, we know that the certain critical issues are there. For an example, impairment, critical issue always. Revenue recognition, RPT disclosures, right? Investment in associate, it's a critical. We know that the management will go wrong. So that critical judgmental point, I prepared a small document, 3-page, shared with the social media also some time ago. So you can refer to that because you are not required to have a comprehensive knowledge, but you need to have a knowledge of the critical judgmental areas of the accounting standard, which will impact to the auditor's thinking pattern. Right. So that is a point that the examiner has told. I don't know whether you are boring now. Huh? So can't be boring because sometime when you are now, let's say you have work today, you are very tired. Work today and you have come home or you are maybe currently studying at CA or wherever. So you will be listening into this complex auditing of 2 hours. That itself difficult, right? If you feel that itself difficult mean the එකක් අමාරුයි කියලා නම් හිතනවා නම් that fundamental should be changed, right? I don't know, you will understand what I'm trying to say, that a complete mind change has to happen. So you should feel that. So you should always dreaming when you become a chartered accountant. So what will happen? So at the moment I don't have anything. I'm in a boarding place, so I'm at home. I don't have anything. I don't have vehicles. Nothing. I want to take something. And my parents, අම්මලා තාත්තලා ගොඩාක් මහන්සි වෙනවා. My parents have done a lot of things from me from the day one. ගොඩාක් දේවල් යාලා කරලා තියෙනවා. So I had to give them something back. So that only way out is becoming qualified, becoming a chartered accountant, and go to the BMICH with them. Keep a hope or keep a dream that you will go to the BMICH with your mother, father, if they are living, or your loved ones. So what the feeling that you will have on that day, wearing the same tie of CA with so many chartered accountants, so many people who were in the maybe on a sports activities or maybe at the audit firm, those who are there and all are in the convocation. What happiness you have in October month, and sometimes you go to the annual conference, 2000 plus chartered accountants are gathering in Colombo in October. So you are like, I would say, such a prestigious for you to attend that kind of this thing, right? So this, you need to dream it, right? You need to have some 1 or 2 role models in your life. So then you will be motivated in achieving that or pursuing that particular dream. If we don't have a dream, students, we can't be successful in life. අපිට සිහින නැත්තම් මේ ජීවිතේ දිනන්නේ නැහැ. We need to have dreams. When you are going to sleep in the night, you have to think that how can I become a chartered accountant? How can I do that? But just not only thinking. Tomorrow morning when you get up, it has to be in Excel. Tomorrow morning when you get up, if you are to get up at 6 o'clock, please get up 1 hour before 5 o'clock. Take the study book and study that. When you are traveling in the office work, in the by bus or by transport or whatever, by train or whatever, you are in the Facebook and you are always in the mobile phone, maybe just download a material and read it. Just see a Sri Lanka webinars there. You just watch that webinar, right? It's all about the changing the mind of pursuing your dream, students. That can only be done if somebody really wants to this. But I have never seen anyone, if someone wants to do, they have got successful. They have got successful in their life. There are so many. Right? There are so many. So you can be a one out of that in future, provided you are ready to change your mind. If you are not ready to change your mind, this cannot be done. Right? Okay, so we'll go to the paper analysis thereafter. I'll just read this one. Familiar with accounting and auditing standards. Marks are awarded for applying knowledge, right, to specific scenarios. So important to fully understand the financial reporting standard to identify the audit risks and suggest effective procedures. At a corporate level, candidates must go beyond learning and demonstrate the deep understanding of the. This is what I was telling. I was showing you, students, deep understanding. That is what I was telling you. You know this is auditing. When you read the study text, you think this is auditing. But examine, expect a deep understanding which you never think. That has to be forced to your mind to think about that. That is the examiner's expectation. And the overall conclusion of what given for the previous paper of the chief examiner, it was disappointing to note that the candidates had not studied the study text, where similar questions were available. If they had studied it, they could have easily answered this paper it was observed that in most instances, all the parts of the questions were not attempted. Give me 1 minute. Sorry for 1 minute. Right. Sorry. Right. So some students, when I told you that you are writing only 60 to 70, you can't pass the exam. You have to write in the 90. If you want to write to the 90, at least 6 or 7 past papers you should have practiced keeping 3 hours. Otherwise, you can't do. You can't. Right. And candidates are advised to practice past papers, exam, review the model answers together with the examiner's comments. What I am telling you, examiner also has told. Candidates should focus on the following areas, reading the questions requirement carefully before the answering. I have told you the strategy that what you have to do is read the required part 3 times. If you don't have that, these are practicing students. If you read this, all the examiner's comments correct can be corrected by what? By only by doing the past papers. And applying technical knowledge on the given scenario, using their knowledge effective in the areas of the scenario, managing their time properly, and also practicing writing skills. So all these are connected to the writing of the examination question. Now, Sri Lanka has scheduled a mock exam, mandatory mock exam on 23rd of this month at Royal College. So you shall go, you must go. Whether you have studied or not, you go and face it, right? So, and I will be discussing with you the mock paper on behalf of Sri Lanka. So the mock paper, you have to go and face it. Right? So you need to take up the challenges. A lot of students that, I don't know, how can I say that you are not ready to change your pattern. So then, of course, the same number of marks only you can get the next time as well if you are not ready to change. So quickly look at this side as well. This is December 23. The examiners require sound understanding of the syllabus and builds on assumed knowledge gained from the audit and assurance. Candidate should note the accounting standard listed within the syllabus. See, accounting standard, he is also telling. Both the examiner is telling accounting standard. Marks are awarded at this level for the application of the knowledge, not for theory students. Application of knowledge to the given scenario. Therefore, candidates are required to demonstrate the understanding of the issue presented. issue එකක් තිබුණාම ඒ issue එක ඔයා දකින විදිය මේක ඇඩ්වාන්ස් කරන්න. මේ issue එක ඇනලයිස් කරන විදිය එක්ස්පෑන්ඩ් කරන්න. හිතන විදිය තව දියුණු කරන්න. ඒක කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරලා විතරයි. Right? That's what the examiner is telling. And candidates should ensure that they are fully conversant with the financial reporting standards in order to maximize their ability to effectively identify how audit risk may arise from the issues and propose effective procedures to address to those risks. For an example, students say audit procedures is a large area in your syllabus. 20% of weightage, there are about 8 chapters. But examiner is designing questions in a different way. Say, now in the office for me, now one of my manager or the supervisor or director, whoever coming and asking me, there is a scenario like this. For them to address or gather sufficient appropriate audit evidences, so we are proposed to carry out these audit procedures. Right? That audit procedures, students, are not directly connecting with the auditing standards. Why? Because auditing standards, so the study text gives you a overall guidance about audit procedures. What best audit procedure is the auditor's professional judgment. The auditor's professional judgment, you will have to make an examination. So if you are not an auditor, how can I make this judgment? Two things I told at the beginning. Systematic understanding of the co-auditing flow, practice in similar kind of scenarios. If you have done that, so you will be able to practically think what needs to be done for the given scenario. If you are not ready to correct that, study text cannot be reproduced at the examination. Right, the last paragraph, it says that the common features seen in the answers was the use of the learning process by repetition rather than by really understanding the learned knowledge without application to the specific scenario. A lot of students, what they do is they take up the answers, they take up the answer, copy paste the content, reproduce the content of the question in the answer script. The ඉන්නේ අර question එකේ තියෙන කැලේ අර මේක ලියන නම් exam ලියන්න ඕනේ. This is a common mistake I'm telling for you to correct, right? The syllabus and study text set out the high level of understanding required at this examination by the action verb, very crucial action verb. This is why I want you to take a highlighter and go to the examination hall, highlight the action verb, highlight number of marks. Candidates should be able to synthesize evaluate the issues given in the question. Simply listing knowledge without explaining the relevance or purpose will not be sufficient to pass the examination. It has to be justified that as to why you believe that this has a risk. It has to be justified that why you believe this is the auditor's conclusion. It has to be justified that as to why it is assurance, why this kind of an assurance services should be applied. You will have to be justified it. You will have to be justified it to the examiner, right? If you are unable to justify, examiner comes to a conclusion, students, you don't have the adequate level of knowledge. All right. Sometime in the paper discussion videos with the Sri Lanka, we discuss all this aspect. So one of the concern from the examiner point of view, what they come and tell us is the students are not writing. So you can see the comments also. So if you are a student who have failed the last time, you figure out this one. If you are a first time student, remember what I'm telling. So you can only way correcting is practicing all questions. So let us have a small study program today, how we practice the questions, right? So I was going through this particular paper. So I was explaining you that how to correct wrong judgment during the exam, because a lot of students make wrong judgment at the examination. Wrong judgment. Remember, the examiner expects you to make a judgment at the examination hall. For that, you need to have very peaceful mind, right? So peaceful mind before the examination. So if you want to have peaceful mind in the examination and during the examination hall, you have to practice similar question in advance. It will enhance your confidence and the thinking ability during the 3 hours, right? The biggest mistake of this judgmental question is what? So your judgment can go on. For an example, I will tell you, especially when it comes to assurance services of your syllabus. Say, students, your assurance services is about 10% of your syllabus. You have a 13 assurance related standard to be learned. 13 assurance related standard. Let's say agreed upon procedures, compilation engagement, and auditing standard, review engagement standard, interim review standard, and also assurance standard, maybe prospective financial information. Likewise, there are various standards, right? So now the scenario has been given. You have to decide what particular scenario is going to be applied, right? Going to be applied for the scenario. That decision, if you go wrong in the part A, part B, part C, all are interconnected, you will get a 0 mark for the question, right? 10 out of 0. This is the biggest issue the auditing students are facing, because the correct judgments cannot be made. Way out is only by practicing questions. All the point I discussed up to now, so I'm linking students with what? Always it is connected with the practicing questions, right? So if you really see now, right? If you really see, students, your syllabus always, look at this, right? Your syllabus is always within the percentages that has been given by Sri Lanka. You can see this analysis I have prepared for you all from the beginning. Pilot paper, then December 2020, up to now all exams are here, right? You can see examiner is always trying to maintain the syllabus weightage percentage. That indicate one thing, students. So you should plan your studies. You're planning your studies mean what? You can do 1 or 2, 3 areas and go for the exam and pass the examination. Now, if you really tired and you can forget about this 5% of internal audit, but you can't forget about all these significant areas, because every time you can see students sometime the weightage of the audit evidence, some examination it has gone even to the 24, right? If you come to the audit reporting, say audit reporting, so this last examination of June 24, it went into 22 marks, right? So then if somebody does not understand the practical gravity of audit reporting, student, how can you pass the exam? So this presentation I have shared with you all. Right? Already shared. So you can take a screenshot, otherwise you can take a photo. Right? So 22 marks. So just imagine the last examination of Code of Ethics and the Quality Management recent change standard 50. So therefore, what my conclusion of this looking at this chart is what? What? Remember that shortcuts, all right? Remember that last 2 weeks of study leave you are studying and passing the exam, impossible for the auditing paper. As far as I know, students, 2,000 students are facing corporate level auditing paper. Highest number of corporate level of this particular subject. What is happening? Last 2 weeks of the study text, you just last 2 weeks of the study leave, you take the study text and you just read and go for the exam. You get 30, 35 marks. You don't have a plan. You don't analyze like this. Even we have analyzed and given to you all that you are not using. Please do this analysis. Make use this analysis and study it properly. Right? So these particular questions, you can see the even recent exam. So you can see now. Now I'm sure that there will be a more than 10 questions from the internal control of the next exam. December, I can now itself tell. Internal control superior question. Sure. So because here they have asked only the MCQ questions, 4 MCQ questions. So I'm sure that December internal control chapter, one of the easiest one, chapter 2 and 3 of the study text, you look at it and go. So there will be a definite questions from there. And also the digital environment has never been tested properly of the recent exam. Properly not tested. It's always MCQ 1 or 2, 3 questions are there. Definitely in December exam, there will be a 10-mark large case scenario. Get ready for that. Right? Get ready for that. That is going to be there. And also risk assessment is traditional. Audit evidences. See, you can't score these three. මතක තියාගන්න මේ 15යි මේ 20යි මේ 15යි. Right? So altogether 50 marks. You can't score without knowing the floor of auditing standards. Right? So in Sri Lanka webinars, I have given the one diagram. What is the flow? Floor of the auditing. So if you don't have that flow, and if you can't draw and explain to somebody that particular diagram, you don't know the auditing. You can't get this marks. I would have told this fact if the 2 weeks before the exam, if CA Student Society organized another session, maybe 2 weeks before the exam, I won't tell these things because you will get scared and then that you will discourage. But 45 days before, I can tell these things. If you don't have the right knowledge to explain to somebody, starting from the engagement letter till the audit report, okay, engagement letter, understand the business, risk assessment, deciding the overall strategy, and then deciding the overall responses, and also then coming into the detailed audit procedures, calculating the materiality and analytical procedures, then conclusion and the reporting. If you can't explain, take in a A4 sheet, that entire 50 marks of here is going to be a problem. Right? Other areas are other applications, separately you can learn. Those selective learnings is possible for other areas, but these three are interconnected, interrelated. You must have a proper application knowledge for these three. Right? Otherwise, you will not be able to score here, right? So I'm not going to tell anything beyond that. I hope that you got an understanding. As far as this particular the detailed syllabus is concerned, so I'll at the study plan stage, I will tell you important one. Remember that. So this part B, part C, and part D are all three are interconnected, right? And all others are not connected directly, but those are indirectly connected. But these three are connected. You have to learn it properly. There are some students say part they learn the risk assessment, then they jump into the audit reporting. Can you learn like that? No. Then you don't know the auditing. Remember, students, if you know the auditing, if you know this diagram, that webinar what I have even done a summary, if you can go and explain to somebody, this is the floor of auditing, obviously, you will be, say, if there is a practical examination question is given, you will be able to think and write at the exam. Right? That is the advantage of these three sections, right? Okay. Right. So if you go into now, okay, now we saw the what is the overall approach for the subject, and we went and saw the paper, common mistake, what should be corrected, and all that. So how can we do this during the next 45 days? So I'm going to suggest you a program, right? So I'm going to suggest you a program, but you can tailor-make this program into the level or the way that you want it. Based on your time availability. I know that you all are busy people, and everything is pressed in the life other than the CA studies. I know that. And I know that those who are working in audit firm, especially mid-tier and the law audit firm, of course, now that you will be busy with the tax deadline of 30th November. And also maybe if you are in the mercantile sector, you are getting ready for the December company year ends, month ends and all that. So, right, there will be so many things. But having all those, still we have to find the time in doing that one. All right. If I go back to my history students, just to tell you that when I was doing the strategic level, while I was at the third year of the audit firm, and I applied all subject while I was working at the audit firm. And it was a really challenge, but I prioritized my study and I did it in all subject in one attempt. But I can remember I started my game in January, and June was the exam. Continuously, every day, 5 o'clock, I got up until midnight, 12. Office hours, I came to office and work. I didn't, that examination period, I didn't try to work hard too much. Otherwise, I'm a hard worker. But in that period, I didn't devote too much of time for the works. I devoted for the exam, right? Morning 5 to 7 times used to study at university those days at Javaradhanapura. I studied, went to the library. We had a separate place called, at that time, part of the library was given open for 24 hours. And then I came to office, and 6 o'clock I left from Colombo 2 and went to Vijayarama. And then mostly 7 o'clock, 7:30 I will go to library again. 12 o'clock I will come back. That is weekday plan. Weekends, fully. No funeral, no wedding, that's 6 months sacrification. What happened now? What happened? Now I can go to all funeral, all wedding, all birthday parties, right? Because I have time. But that 6 months I had to sacrifice. So therefore, if you really want to pursue a dream, you can do. අපි ගොඩක් අය ඉන්නවා එහෙම කරන්න කියලා හිතේ තියාගෙන අතරයට නිදා ගන්නවා උදේ නැගිටිනකොට ඒක අමතකයි. Right. So students now say what is happening? Some lines are coming. So how to delete that? Right, doesn't matter. Right, give me a minute. Right, okay, delete it. Right, so now managing studies, 45 days more from 46 days, but 1 day left for election. Right. So Everything cannot be done. This is the fundamental which I want to tell you. Everything cannot be done. No one is perfect in this world. If you try to be perfect, nothing is perfect. Everything cannot be done. Then what needs to be done? So you have this month 17 days and you have 28 days next month. So you want to have a two different plans. One is students. So obviously exam focus section plan. Exam focus section plan. So that means content planning of the subject. Other one is time management plan. So there should be a two plan. Exam focus section plan, you cannot do everything. So based on the past paper analysis that you have, also that previously I shown, you have to have a section plan of what areas you are going to study. And what is your time duration for that coming in the second plan. Right? Two different plans are needed for you. And the number one is exam focus section plan. So I'm going to give you a plan based on my analysis on being the lecturer for the auditing subject for so many years now, almost 8 years, 8 to 9 years, and being a audit firm practice, my auditing career is now about 14 years. This is the 14th year, and being a partner, this is the 8th year. So having said that experience and the lecturing, so I have prepared a plan for you for these 45 days. You can modify it, right, based on your suit. Right. Now, students, if everything cannot be done, we have to focus on what the examinable area, what examiner needs it. And what are the chapters the mostly examiner is testing in recent examination, and what is the probability of the examiner can test. Again, these particular areas. And accordingly, the students who don't have a time, follow this program, right? Follow this program. What is this program? Program exam focus section plan, right? Remember, so I told you that generally co-auditing process and other areas are divided in the syllabus into two. Hari. So now in the co-auditing, there are so many standard from started. There are 37 auditing standard here. All 37 are applicable in your SCL1 syllabus, right? All 37 are applicable. But can you study all 37? Then we are do the exam in June 25, no, June 26. That much of large standard. You can't, right? So then you have to be smart enough. You have to be systematic enough. And you have to have a proper smart plan to cover up what examiner needs, right? What examiner needs. Sometimes say if you are asked to make a presentation, if you are asked to make a presentation, now say in this particular presentation, I was asked by the Vice President of Student Society to do this kind of a session. Then I asked him what some questions, what is the audience and who will be coming and time duration and all that. Why I asked that questions? Because I need to decide, because I know that everything cannot be done. And what would be the most important from the stakeholder point of view or expected audience's perspective. So I had to decide what is important. Similarly, you are in now, if you are thinking about the subject at the time of July month, then I would say you do everything. But now you are 45 days behind the exam, you can't do all the things. But find the time to do all these theoretical in a proper way. So all these theory students, I'm just telling you, rather doing all the chapters in the study text, doing specific studies into this would make you pass the exam. I don't know. Sometimes if you study everything, you are not focusing, right? You are not focusing on right? You are not focusing on the depth that is required. The depth that is required by examiner. All right. So it's required to go in depth. If you don't have that depth, of course, by learning that chapter, not learning, both are same. So therefore, depth has to be done. So the select two chapters what I have given here has to be studied, need to be studied into the level, into the depth, right? So that means, so say for an example, fraud. I get up in the early morning at 4 o'clock with a strong mind, say you. So say I will take an example, somebody in this year, let's say Laksara is here. Say Laksara is Laksara, I don't know. So get up tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock. Get the fraud standard or the fraud study text content. you study that, right? Study mean you study a very conscious mind. You then, after you study about maybe every half an hour, you close your eyes and you memorize. You try to think about what is fraud, how practical audit is going to apply this. You draw a triangle, that so you draw a triangle and you think that, okay, practical audit, how we can be applied this. You think it over that, right? That is called in-depth study. Then you go to the past papers from the particular chapter and you see that whether you can write it. So that kind of in-depth studies are needed for these areas, right? Fraud, risk assessment. Remember, risk assessment, I have a special request for you. 10 questions after learning the theory, you need the 10 questions to be done. 10ක් කරොත් විභාගයට 11 වෙනි එක අනිවාර්යෙන් 10 questions are needed. Then audit evidence theory and practical application chapter 7 has to be learned properly. Audit review and finalization, especially coming into the going concern, relevant party transaction, accounting estimates, and even after the reporting date. These four RPT, that has to be learned properly, because if you see almost all the examination, 10-15 marks have come from this particular chapter. RPT, right? RPT, the subsequent event after reporting date, going concern, and accounting estimate. These are the four things is applicable under coming under the audit review and finalization. Is very much crucial, students, because every time 10 marks will be there. And the final one is audit reporting. Students, audit reporting cannot be compromised. Cannot be compromised. Everything must be in audit reporting. Not the theory, but how practical application is to be done. So I'm not telling for you to learn everything in the subject, but learn these things in depth to the required level, right? And also other areas, if you look at the assurance services, chapter 17, 10 marks at the exam, code of ethics, recent latest with the latest changes, I will tell you at the last. Audit quality management, new standard. If you are looking at the study text, be careful. If you are looking at the webinars, sometimes these webinars, audit quality management and all, those are for the previous standard. So those are into the quality control standard. So therefore, you have to study the latest knowledge for the quality management. The Sri Lanka standard on quality management 1 and 2 has come into the Sri Lanka, ISQ 1 and 2. Those will be applicable in Sri Lanka from 2025 in the audit firm. But your examination, it was applicable from the last exam. So therefore, you need to learn the new thing. Right? Then internal control, of course, anybody can write the answers, because if you practice the question, not difficult, and auditing in a digital environment. So I have forgotten that the internal audit and all that, because I assume that you don't have time. All right. Our auditing in a digital environment is a small chapter where you can highly score to about, I would say about 7-8 pages in the study text. Quickly you can read. Nothing to think. No standard, no practical application, purely theoretical 10 marks. You score. Right, that is one side. Other side, students, other side is coming into the different way. It's a practicing questions. This is time devotion what? Don't forget 40%. This is 60%. Now, today onwards, you have to launch the program. That program is one paper in 1 week. Right? One full paper per week. One paper in 1 week. Satiyata paper. So 6 papers. You write in a small piece of paper and take a photo and put as a screenshot in a mobile phone, or take a printout and keep in the place you are studying. Right? You are motivated to do 1 paper per week, irrespective of whether you have studied or not. අපි ප්‍රශ්න කරන ගමන් පාඩම් කරමු. ඒකත් අලුත් ක්‍රමයක් මේක. So you do the question, you take the question, and if you can't identify the answer, that 15 minutes devoted for the question, you simply look at the question and wait. At least it will give you a motivation that no, I have to study. And tomorrow morning, get up at 3 o'clock and study. 1 full paper per week, keep in 3 hours, 6 papers before, I would say 29th of December, right? And also, in addition to that, will select two additional past paper question for important chapters given above. So under each and every chapter, for an example, risk assessment, I told you the 10 questions should be done, because that when you do the questions only, it will be realized to you what extent the examiner test on that. And revision kit is there. But remember, the revision kit, there are so many questions. Some questions are copy pasted from somewhere, some part of the world, and come and park here. So therefore, you don't have to practice all the questions, because some questions are not in the pattern of the CA Sri Lanka past papers. So therefore, some selective questions you can practice, not everything. Actually, as far as I'm concerned, I'm more worried about the past papers only. If you have a time only, you should go to there and then to the ACCA F8. F8, not the advanced audit and assurance paper, audit and assurance paper of F8 paper past papers. You can download and at least 2-3 papers. You can look at the recent 3-4 papers. I believe that the paper set also may be looking at those papers. By luck, we will have a chance. We don't know, but we can't guarantee. But you can have a look over there, right? So this is a short program to you from the section-wise plan. I hope that a simple plan that you can implement it. And then I coming into the time management plan, because it's mostly the difficult thing at the beginning. I told you what the beginning I told you the most difficult thing is to managing your mind. We are not self-motivated. Somebody has to be behind us, right? Somebody has to be motivated us. Somebody has to tell you the study. When we were doing the A-level, sometimes your father say, okay, get up and study. But now you are a professional student. Nobody is there to tell you. You study. Your friends will not tell why, because they want to enjoy you. So there is no motivation for you. When you come to the office, no one tell you to study. You have to work. When you go to the CA, sometimes you have friends and you go somewhere and evening and or maybe some other activities you are engaging. No one is there to tell you that study. So I appreciate the Student Society initiative for this kind of a session. At least it is a motivation for others to do the studies. Right? So therefore, now that motivation, if it is not coming from outside, you have to make it yourself. For that, you have to control yourself. Remember, this mobile phone must be controlled. Mobile phone must be controlled. If you don't control the mobile phone, you can't finish the CA. Why? You put the app and see how many hours you are in the mobile phone. Minimum 2 to 3 hours. It doesn't matter you take it to the 1 hour. I don't mind because I'm also in the mobile. Right? Always, I'm also there. But limit of 1 hour per day, it's okay. But it doesn't beyond that. Should not go beyond that. Right? You need to have a self-motivated plan like this. So this format can be used, which I used to share with the students in even previously. So this format, right? This kind of a format you can use. So this format, students, it's not a very lengthy plan. Every Friday evening only you should prepare this one. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? And how many times you can allocate as per your agenda, as per your time plan, how many hours you can devote it. You have to decide it. Priorities. I expect for you to study 12 hours if you are on the weekend. I expect you to study the 4 hours if you are in the normal weekdays. It's for me, but you can decide. But there can be students who are going to work. You can 15, 16 hours you can study and one shot finish the exams. Right? But then you have to put the what theoretical areas or what subject you are going to do on each day. And it is 40%. This is 60%. So what question papers you are going to do? You have to write it. Plan. Don't work without a plan. Nothing will work in the life without a plan. Plan is needed. If you need a plan, so if it is needed a plan, you have to prepare at this time. So then at the end of the day, you put the actual time you worked. But that actual time should be deducted, right? The time that you are on the mobile phone. Before you study the table, please keep away the mobile phone. Every half an hour, take 5 minutes and watch the phone. That doesn't matter. But always, whenever you 5 minutes study, look at the phone. 5 minutes, you again watch the TikTok video. Not going to work, right? For auditing, you have to concentrate at least for a half an hour continuous manner, right? So therefore, actual times you can put like this. Okay. So actual time you put like this and study time allocate like this, right? So after that you can draw a diagram like this to make your happiness. This is the plan time, but actually I was able to do, say you have actually done plan 12 hours, actually done 18 hours. The himay කියලා පැය 4ක් මේකට plan කරලා පැය 6ක් කරලා happy වෙන්න එපා. Total hours minimum per week you have to cover up 40 hours. If not, you are not success. Remember, all these can be done, students, provided, right? Provided you find out a reason for why you need to do this one. You need to find a reason as to why you want to be complete the charter. You have to find a reason. For me, there were a lot of reasons. My mother and father was the main reason. Would they have done a lot of things for me? That will be the most sensitive reason for you to take it up, I believe. So they would have done a lot of sacrifice for you. So therefore, you have to do something for them. Take that as a reason to do the job. I have a lot of students, they have found several reasons. I met some students say that she has a boyfriend, but boyfriend family doesn't like her because she is not qualified. Good reason, valid reason. Now, if you want to get marry him, you have to get qualified. Super. That some people I met the audit firm or a mercantile sector, young people are getting qualified, but that people are not given the promotion, salary increment because not qualified. Passport is not there. So that is a good reason. I know that there are a lot of students motivated like that. So if you don't have a reason to get motivated, you motivate yourself by finding a reason. Right? At least why now we are going by bus, at least you want to go by a car. Keep that kind of a dream even. Then only this will happen. Otherwise, whatever you try, you will plan everything today. Tomorrow morning, you will not get up to study in the morning. Animare. This is experience. Right? So this kind of a time plan can be done. Right? Time plan can be done. Right. So those are the things that as far as the planning or a study plan is concerned, what I want to highlight. But another one more thing, students, I have to tell you. Now, while you are working in this organizations, audit firm, or you have a lot of work, right? Your managers also maybe giving so much of pressure to you to complete the audit or complete your engagements wherever you are working. Now, you have to be a good employee, right? For that, you have to do the hard works. So my theory is, yes, we have to be, I'm a good hard worker. So you have to do good hard work. You have to learn everything and do it properly. But only during the examination time, I used to normally have a chat with my superior and get a relaxed time. Other time I work hard, but the exam time give me the support. Then if say other time you are working late hours and you are very hardworking person and helping to the senior people, they will definitely help you while you at the exam time. Right? That kind of a negotiated plan has to be put to with your senior person for you to have adequate time for the studies. Right? So that is the advice that I can give you. Right. So students, we are coming into the recent changes now. The recent changes. Don't worry, I will finish the session as for the time I promised. Huh? So I promised at 10:15. I will finish at 10:15. So therefore, you can concentrate properly with me next 15 minutes as well. So I know that otherwise you will be interested in, now you have maybe already got fed up with the listening about 2 hours. Also, you are very tired with the working today, if any. Right. So the reason changes what happened onto your syllabus. In July 2000, 5th July 2023, the Sri Lanka announced a letter that the syllabus was amended, syllabus was revised with the recent development. With the recent developments in the world, so the syllabus was changed. You have to be aware. Right? So when you're looking at the past papers, these changes must be aware. Right? Basically, student, one of the key changes, I will tell you the key changes. These 3 changes were there. And when you are referring to the study text originally developed in 2020, that has now changed for all 3 sections. Right? And after that, Sri Lanka gave some appendix for the study text. Those are available in the LMS, Sri Lanka, you can read. But when referring to the all knowledge in the study text, be careful for these 3 sections. So one of the critical change that occurred was under the audit quality, the Sri Lanka Standard on Quality Management 1 and 2 was introduced, Remember, that is 10% of your syllabus. It is a complete replacement of Sri Lanka Standard on Quality Control 1. It's a complete change. So therefore, if you are studying the old knowledge of the all study text, all webinar, you have to be careful and study the recent knowledge. According to my knowledge, there is no webinar for recent knowledge which I have done at the CA. It's not there. So this knowledge you have to gather some, right? If not, 10% of the exam, I'll show you recent exam past paper. Recent paper, examiner went into the latest knowledge. If you go into the recent paper, see the question number 4, right? Question number 4, entire 10 marks, right? Entire 10 marks from the recent knowledge of Sri Lanka Standard on Quality Management. What it says is, select 5 controls from the above scenario, identify the corresponding elements. Now we have 8 elements, whereas earlier we had 5. For the system of quality control, Sri Lanka Standard Quality Management, 1 for each of the selected control. Then outline 5 actions that MA should take to strengthen the quality control to meet the SLSQ 1 requirements at the firm level based on the facts provided for the above scenario for 10 marks. So that has changed now, students. So you have to be aware that definitely in December exam also the audit quality management will be tested for your examination. The recent knowledge you need to have. Right. The second change was ethics. Right. Basically, ethics. Remember, ethics. The things that you study in the study text is actually 2000. If I'm not mistaken, 2016 knowledge only there in the study text. After that, 2020 version came. Now 2023 version came, right? 2016 to 20, there are changes, right? That has not been updated in the study text. For an example, I will tell you cooling off time, cooling off period, and all that for an example, say if you are a PLC audit partner, and you can work only up to maximum number of years, 7 years. And after that, next 5 years, you can't be. But in the all says that's 2 years or 3 years. So therefore, the changes should be aware. But 20 to 23, there are no much changes. Only 2 changes occurred. So it's not really impacting your syllabus content, right? But you have to be aware that there was a change. So 2016 to 20 change, no material is available. But 20 to 23, you have a 1 or 2 pages document issued by Sri Lanka under the appendix, right? But as far as the quality management is concerned, heavily impact to the exam. Ethics are concerned, not that impact, but of course that cooling off period, that timeline, familiarity that should be known. Clear? Systematically, you don't know. The second thing in assurance engagement, the Sri Lanka Standard on Related Services 4410 agreed upon procedure standard was changed. All right. When the agreed upon procedure standard, Sri Lanka Standard Related Service 4400 was changed. Now, these are why I'm telling in a very confident manner, students, because we day-to-day life, I apply at the audit firm. So these are part and parcel of our life. So this particular standard was changed with a broader view of like enhancing the expectation of the stakeholder reporting format. But as far as your exam is concerned, I don't see a very severe change. Severe change will not be applicable compared to the that is available in the statistics, right? It's like quality management. And again, then this was changed in the audit planning and risk assessment. It was changed some time ago, actually. It is something like approach under the risk assessment is changed from the top-down approach. It was changed to the top-down approach. Now, the risk is assessed from the business point of view, from the CEO perspective. That's like a broader picture change. It also will not have a severe impact to your content of the study text. But remember, these two are, see, there is a severe impact, especially the quality for the syllabus content that you have to be aware. This is what the CA Sri Lanka has explained in the changes in this particular letter, right? These are the changes is available in the Sri Lanka has published. Right. Okay. Right. So now, students, let me do one more thing to be highlighted. I'll go back to the syllabus is concerned. So remember that, remember that you don't have to devote, say, certain chapters are there. Very lost content you can quickly finish. Those things should be done in advance. For an example, say, risk assessment is a large area. But if you look at the digital environment, 1 hour studies. So therefore, you need to plan when you prepare your study plan. You have to have that the expected time devotion. So this is 10 marks. This is 15 marks. This is about 10 hours. This is 1 hour, 10 marks. So then you have to have a balance over there, right? For an assurance service also like that. So sometimes this may be about 5 hours study, but audit evidence will be about 25 hours studies, very large content. Right? So you need to have an understanding about the content. Remember, content and the paper weightage are not same. Right? So that has to be uh, understood by you when you are preparing your study plan. And always when you are preparing your study plan, so refer into this paper analysis that I have given you, and accordingly you plan your studies for somehow to get the higher number of marks at the examination. Right. So now, as I promised, I have come closer to my predicted time of 10:15, now 10:11. So that is the time management. Say, I manage the time, right? Exactly within 2 hours. What I want to tell, I told you. Another important message to be given to you all, that the mock exam, Sri Lanka mock exam, for CL1 and CL3 mandatory, you have to attend. If you don't attend, they will not give you the admission. So therefore, you have to attend the physically. Paper discussion, you don't have to, paper discussion will happen virtually later. I will be taking up the CL1 with you. So that is in later, not now. But paper must be attended. If not, they will not give the admission. So if there is a very exceptional case, let's say very exceptional case, that day you have a medical appointment, so kind of a very exceptional case. So you have to get connected to the manager education or the deputy manager education. The manager education, Miss Augusta, deputy manager education, Mr. Aruna. So you can get connect to them and get confirm anything in writing. So please get confirm anything in writing if you have any excuses. Otherwise, you attend. If not, somewhere at the time of the admissions are issued for the examination of 20th of December. If they say admission cannot be given, so you all will call to us, but what we can, that is practice. I try to help you all, but of course we can't do at that last moment everything they have organized. So please listen, because I want to pass that message specifically to you all in order to have that unnecessary disputes, unnecessary issues at the last moment, and take it up that challenge and go to the mock paper. We can discuss the paper discussion. We can meet later. Right. So I'm giving the platform to you, so you can ask any questions. Right. If you have any technical questions, if you have any other anything, so I'm ready to answer. So let us answer. I'll see the question in the chat box. If managing 3 subjects, shall we give a higher weightage to the audit due to others are calculation? No, you can't do like that, Jeffrey. You have to give the high weightage for auditing subject as well as management account. But if you are doing CL2 and the CL4, comparative, I'm not telling not difficult, comparatively less complicated and pass rates are very high. But I'm telling you a fact that CL1 and CL3 are pass rates are very low. Out of that, CL1 continuously. So therefore, you have to give the automatically weightage. But that time allocation will depend on the subject content. Now, sometimes CL2 content is large, but difficulty wise less. CL3 content is very low, but difficulty wise low. Auditing paper content wise moderate, difficulty wise low. Sorry, difficulty wise very high. So therefore, you need to have a balance in between this one. So my advice is, say, if you are managing 3 subjects, you manage like 35, 35, 30. 35 for CL1, 35 or a 30 for CL3. And other subject, you can have a 20, 25 or 30 maximum. When writing the questions in the paper in the exam, what about the writing order in the paper? Is it fine if not in a sequential order of the questions in the writing answer script? It's not required to be in the sequential order. Question number 2 you can write, question number 5 you can write, but within the question you have to finish them. Because paper marking is done by one person per one question. So then what happens? He has to go through the entire paper. So number 3, everything you have to write first. The in order can be changed, no problem. 50 marks is necessary for mock exam? No, there is no such a thing Sri Lanka has announced, because I'm also actually very much keen. I'm getting connected with the CA and always for this mock exam. And I have asked whatever to be asked, and they will not consider the number of marks that you are going to get, because they are not going to mark the papers. They are not going to mark the papers. Huh? So you just write the paper only. You just write the paper and you take the paper and come out. Later, paper discussion will take place. That's no marks, number of marks will be considered, just participation. Right. So, what else question? PDF is already shared in this chat box. If Ishan can reshare his, I would be much happier. That is already available in the initial I shared it. I will do the exam in December as press time by watching your YouTube webinars. Can you please give advice about the what area should focus on more? So I think I already gave that the focus on, but YouTube webinars that may not be fully enough. You have to devote more time, because those are very short videos, are about maybe 15, 20 hours. That at that time we did for a COVID time. Actually, COVID time we wanted to, together with the Sri Lanka and myself, we wanted to help the students. So we did. So if you are watching webinars, you have to be always aware about the recent changes, and that content or the in-depth, you have to go further to get more marks. So you have to study text or to study properly. Right. So it's not there. Can you reshare again? Yes, I will do. Right. What is the questions? Right. So then if there are no questions, Shishan, I can wind up. So I thank you for everyone for joining, as well as the student society. So it's student society is always part of, even though I'm not actively involved in, but I always looking at the student society activities, because I'm looking at the firm, the sport club as well. So I get to the updates of all the things, and you all are doing a wonderful job in terms of the balancing the life of CS students, and also coming up the gear up sessions is always good, because in time to time it was there for some time. Now it's again restart much better. Even we can give some value addition for the students, even open platform, because we genuinely waiting to support for the students also. So then that's a good platform for you all that you have opened up. So it's thank you for inviting today, and all the best for everyone.
Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and this valuable session. And all of you, thank you everyone for participating. We will upload all the Gear Up sessions on our YouTube platform, and stay tuned with upcoming sessions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.